Entrepreneur TV, the first online magazine show for entrepreneurs. My name is Baiju Solanki, along with David McDonald of Silver Island TV, are the founders of I'm an Entrepreneur TV. Now, the aim of this show is to be the show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. More and more people are moving away from traditional employment and starting their own businesses. Now, this show aims to bring you the most up-to-date news on how you can start, grow, apply for funding and expand your business. Now, what we aim to bring you over the next coming month is news on all things entrepreneurial, funding, new companies, startup, events, anything to do with entrepreneurship. Now, technology is never far away, and there are apps and software being released every day to help your business grow. And we'll have resident experts on hand to give you what's hot and what's not in the world of entrepreneurship. Now, there is so much out there. How do you know who to listen to? Well, we will look around the world for the best of the best and look for experts making the difference in the world of entrepreneurship today. Now, this show is about you, so we want to hear from you. Now, as it's going out live at the moment, it's just gone 8 o'clock. You'll see the hashtag that we're using, EntTv. Use that hashtag to send in your comments, questions, anything about the show. And we're always looking to improve the show in terms of its features, in terms of guests. If you've got any people that you would like us to feature, then please let us know using that hashtag and tweet us in. If you're watching a recording, please do use the hashtag, because we always look at the streams and we always want to know what you feel about the show and how we can improve it. So the show is here for you. We've got packed shows everywhere, as always. We've got Josie coming up in a moment talking about news around the entrepreneur world and what's happening there. We've also got Gill Tiney. Gill Tiney is a networking expert. She's a business coach. She's written a couple of books and she talks around the world around networking. And we've talked about social media quite a lot over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is fantastic. It's a really powerful thing. However, there's nothing like pushing the flesh and making sure that when you go to networking events that you get the most out of these events. And we're going to talk about the 3 essentials that every entrepreneur needs to be aware of when they go networking, and some of the don'ts. You know, some of the things, some of the little faux pas and some of the little things that you shouldn't really be doing at networking events if you want to make the most of them and get the kind of contacts and business you're looking for your business. We've also got the second part of Emily's talk on taking opportunities. Remember last week I mentioned Emily Kontantas spoke at my Wanna Be an Entrepreneur event last April, and she talked about how you not only can see opportunities, but how do you take advantage of them. And we've got the second part of her talk today, and she's going to be talking about how you actually take those opportunities. Right, so there's a packed show here today, so I hope it's quite cold out there. It's been quite warm the last few weeks. I think winter's kicking in with November. We had a good day the other day, but not so much today. So let's not further ado, we'll have Josie coming on with the Entrepreneur News. Hello there, hi Josie.
Hi,
How are you? That was a bit rushed there.
Yeah, it was a little bit, yeah. How are you?
My mic's just fallen off. Hang on.
Okay.
There you go. I hope you could hear me before. My mic's just fallen off. It's all good. It's all on, are we? Are we all on? Yep, I think we're on. Great. So how you been?
Yeah, really good.
Fantastic.
Busy blogging.
Have you?
Yes.
All right.
Sarah Arrow's 30-day blogging challenge. I'm on day 14, so
right, okay.
touch wood.
Oh, she was here 2 weeks ago. Touch
gonna
wood.
go all right.
So she was here a couple of weeks ago, and
Yeah,
she had
that's
that 30-day challenge, and you've taken it up.
Yes, I have, yeah.
I'm a naughty boy. I did take it up, and Sarah might be watching now, and I didn't really, I've done a few blogs. I'm a little bit behind. But you've done 14 on the trot.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah,
what have you been writing
okay.
about?
I've been writing about copywriting, blogging, small business advice, that kind of thing. The topics have been quite easy to come by. It's just finding the time to blog. But the more I've been doing, the quicker I've been able to write them. So the challenge is working.
Fantastic.
It's really good. Yeah.
Good. Mm-hmm. So what's in the world of world of entrepreneurship? What news is happening now?
It's another YouGov poll.
Yeah.
And this time they've surveyed 2,000 small and medium-sized businesses, and it's to do with international trade.
Okay.
So they found out that 50% of small and medium enterprises are buying from overseas, and 42% are selling and buying overseas.
Okay.
So quite encouraging results.
So when you think about how social media and internet works, the world is smaller. So it's not a sort of big deal to do internationally, but still that shows that British small businesses are doing trade overseas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really encouraging, and that was one of the things that they uncovered actually, that small and medium-sized businesses are using technology to help further their logistical challenges and overcome problems and stuff.
Okay.
So,
have you come across a website called Alibaba Alibaba.com.
Yeah, I think I have actually. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, if you've not heard of Alibaba.com, it's a great website. If anybody's looking for products or manufacturers around the world for anything, I was speaking to a business about a year or so ago, and they wanted to manufacture this certain type of flip flops with a certain design. I don't know what it was, but they were struggling with trying to find a manufacturer. Right. And I told them about Alibaba.com, and I just go in there and just literally type in what kind of things you're looking for, and there's China, India, all the Far East countries where they're searching for people with ideas who want to create products and stuff. So Alibaba's a fantastic website that if you want to go to, if you want to start trading internationally and get products. So that's a good
really interesting.
So any news or any other bits and pieces around that international?
Yeah, there was another key finding actually. It's to do with the key markets that people were tapping into. So we've got the usual ones like North America, China, but they also found that Eastern Europe and Russia were also these emerging key markets that small businesses are looking to trade with. So,
and any particular industries in those areas?
Yeah, it was to do with the service industries. So it was IT, technology, marketing services, that kind of thing.
Wow, okay. So looking for expertise wherever you can get them.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great.
Yeah,
good.
Really
Fantastic.
interesting.
Good. So from last week, we're talking about Victoria Beckham around she being the top entrepreneur to look at international reviews. There's a lot going on out there.
There's always something going on, Baiju.
Yeah. And that's what this channel's about. It's really, giving people the opportunity to really find out what's going on. That, small business isn't just about micro stuff. There's lots of things happening there, and we aim to bring you all the experts and the news to help you and grow your business. So that's great. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Happy blogging. Keep it up. So it'll be 21. It'll be 21 blogs from.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right. So 21 blogs. Let's do that. Hopefully, we'll blog about my book, won't you?
Maybe.
We'll see. Okay, great. So thank you, Josie. Cheers. Great.
Right,
see you next week.
later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Right, so thank you there, Josie, about with the news around entrepreneurship. There is lots out there, and it'd be really, we've got a number of people looking out for news. But if there's things that you hear about, maybe a company that's been taken over, or maybe companies looking for funding, and you want to get a bit of publicity, just use the hashtag to tweet us your questions and comments, and we'll get you on. Right, so without further ado, we've got now Gill Tiney. Now, Gill Tiney, as I said, she's a business coach, and she's written a couple of books, one called Steps to Success, but she's done networks phenomenally. She not only talks about networking in this country, she's talked internationally, recently been to Malaysia and talked about networking. So we're going to talk all things networking. So the 3 essentials for entrepreneurs around networking. Welcome, Gill Tiney. Hello, Gill.
Hi, Baiju.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Welcome down to.
Yeah,
I know this is London. Looks like London, but
you can see people just moving around.
They are. Make sure you don't.
See that car?
The time when Big Ben's going. Oh, it's always no. Anyway, but anyway, that's a different thing. So you well?
Very well, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit muggy out there, isn't it? So.
A bit chilly. The
bit
temperature's
chilly.
just dropped.
Bit
Can you hear the
chilly.
fireworks outside?
Just about. I don't know whether you can hear it on there. So it shows we're doing it in November. So that's cool. Great. So welcome to that. Now last couple of weeks, we've talking a lot about social media and stuff and online stuff, but there's nothing like pushing the flesh. So first question I want to ask you is why is networking so powerful, and why does it work, and what's why over recent times there's a networking event going on all the time? What's so powerful about it?
I think people have kind of cottoned on to online is one purpose, and offline is it's just going back to traditional ways of doing things. And the reason you go networking is to build relationships. That's the whole purpose of it. We used to do it, 100 years ago. It was the old boys club. It was the guys that used to go to Eton. It was the guys on the golf club, mostly men. But ladies used to do it as well. God bless the WI, And we still have that today. We have the ladies networking groups, and we don't have any men-only groups as far as I know.
Well, there are, but it's not anyway.
Maybe not those ones.
Yeah.
But there's so many different types. I mean, I'm like your good self, bit of a networking tart. So I've done all the.
I've never been to a networking event in my life. I know,
yeah, if you don't know Baiju, you've not been in Essex, really.
Yeah. Oh, not just Essex, but anyway.
Okay, everything from the breakfast, lunchtime, evening, speed networking, and everything in between. And you kind of work out what's best for you, because everyone's got a different personality and a different way of approaching these things. I remember talking to Penny Powell a while ago, and she said she hates networking as a rule. She loves the online networking, but she said, if you give me a networking event where I can have a glass of wine, I can tuck my feet under my bottom and sit in the corner, and people come and talk to me, she said, I'll network all night long. She absolutely loves it. So there's always a networking group out there that will suit your personality. And it might not be the getting up early and the putting on the face first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm not a morning person. I'm really not very good at that.
No. But you've done a lot of morning networking.
I have.
You have,
yes,
yeah.
I have in the past.
Now we're going to talk about, the different types of networking groups later, and we're going to talk about, what you should do in networking. What are some of the mistakes that people make? Say people are watching this broadcast, and there might be startups, pre-startups, and they're thinking, I've heard about this networking thing, and what do I do when I go there? What sort of things shouldn't they do when they go to networking? Is it about handing your business cards out? Is it about just sort of shouting for the rooftops of what you're about? What should people not do when they go to networking events?
The etiquette in networking is very similar to the etiquette in life, really. It's don't be rude, mind your manners.
Okay.
So, for example, if you've arranged to go to a networking group, don't cancel it, don't bail out, go. If you've promised that you're going to go, or maybe you've paid online already, make sure you turn up, because whoever's organised that, if they see your name's down there and you haven't turned up, somebody will be judging you for, they didn't come, it's annoying. They've put on an event and you're one of the people not there. So it will go against you. It's like a drop in the bucket of negativity that's going to be around you for the next time.
Okay.
Same thing, don't be late. That's rude. If you go somewhere, if I were to invite you over for dinner, I wouldn't expect you to turn up late and all the food's burnt.
Waiting for the invite. Anyway, there you go. Okay.
But all those kind of things, don't go to a networking event and go, I forgot my business cards. They're in the car. Be prepared. Because what's that saying if you turn up and you haven't got your business cards? How prepared are you in your business?
Yeah.
It's just giving people a judgment, an opportunity to judge you. We shouldn't. In society, we shouldn't judge each other.
But we do.
We do. You can't help it. So don't give anybody else an opportunity not to.
That thing you said about, if you've booked to go to an event, to go to it, people might think, well, nobody else knows I've not been there, so how does it work? But
it's the organiser will be aware of who's booked in.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best things to do, is make friends with the organiser, because they will know the people that are going to be coming, they know who the regulars are, they know who the good people are to connect up with. So it's getting on their right side. So if you've pushed it in the wrong direction before you even get there, you're not doing yourself any favours.
Right.
The other thing is getting there late, obviously, or leaving early. So what does that say to people when you're leaving early? It's like, actually, I've got somewhere better to go.
Right.
So I'm going to go, rather than spend your whole time there and actually utilise the time that you've spent.
Okay.
So again, people, the other classic, don't turn up scruffy.
Oh, okay. Be smart.
Dress to impress.
Okay.
If you were going to be meeting your next best client, what should you be wearing? What would you want to look like? And if you have said to somebody, do you know what, I'd love to work for Richard Branson. Well, what does Richard Branson want you to look like?
Right.
Might be casual, that's fine, but clean, smart, whatever it is for your business. You get a lot of creatives, very much like yourself, jeans and a jacket. That's lovely, that's fine. But if you're an accountant, you wouldn't really turn up with tattoos all up your arm and face furniture and shorts and flip-flops. Because you'd be thinking, is he a great accountant? Now, it doesn't mean to say you're not a great accountant, but it just is another barrier for people to get through, to get to know you, to understand what you're about.
Okay.
So make it easy for them.
Okay, good. So now the other thing about it, people will be aware of, there are different types of networking. It's not just one type of networking. There's different type of groups. So what kind of networking organisations, not organisations in terms of groups, are there? What's the etiquette? What's the formats?
Well, obviously there's the breakfast ones, which are quite often more structured. They've got the agenda that goes through, and a lot of people like that structure. A lot of people like to know where they are, and they have to do a 60-second presentation, and they know the format. And that's quite nice, providing you're a good speaker. If you're very good at speaking in front of a room full of people, 20, 30, maybe 50 or 60 people, if you can handle that, awesome, go for it. Okay. But actually, if you're thinking, no, that petrifies me, will you maybe go to a lunchtime one first? Maybe go to an evening one where you get a little bit of Dutch courage, a glass of wine or something like that. Yeah. Some lunchtime ones, you get 150 people in the room. You might not have to publicly speak to 150 people, but it's still quite daunting going into a room and there's that noise and that hub and who do I talk to? I don't know, where do I start? So start with smaller groups.
Okay.
Find out before you go. So how many go to this? Oh, it's about 10, 15? Oh, lovely, okay. That's the easier number to kind of get comfortable. Okay. And once you're comfortable, you think, okay, now I'll be brave, push out the comfort zone a little bit and try a different way of doing it.
So when you talk about breakfast meetings, they're sometimes a bit more organised, and they're sometimes called referral network. Yeah. What's referral networking compared to other networking? How does that work?
It's kind of the giver's gain philosophy. So if I give you business, you're going to want to give me business. So it's you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But the thing is, generally you would go to give rather than to receive, because as we know, networking isn't about hunting and getting the business. It's about, building relationships. So you wouldn't build a relationship by going, come and let me work for you. It's understanding that you've got to go and give. And you can't really give a referral until you know the people in the room.
So people who are watching who may not want networking, they might seem strange. So I'm going to network an event to give something else. Aren't I going there to get business? What is this about? And why would I go just to help everybody else out? I want to grow my business. So people watching this thinking, I've not been networking an event. How does that work then? How does that?
Well, a good analogy is the hunter and the farmer.
Right.
A hunter will go out, make a quick kill, drag it back, done deal, that's it. A farmer will be planting seeds, long-term seeds, so that they go and they nurture it and they look after the crop, and then they get a big harvest at the end of the day. So any networking you go to is relationship driven.
Okay.
You're going fishing. You're looking for a big fish, possibly. You might get a little fish, which would be your kind of bread and butter stuff. Or you might get a Wellington boot, which is just, every so often you kind of get a referral, or you get some contact, or you get something that's like, really? Not doing any good. But it's all the little fishes that can turn into big fishes, and it's all the big fish that you get that's a relationship.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, any networking group you go to isn't to get business, it's just to get that opportunity to develop a relationship further. All you're after is that cup of coffee.
So it's a long-term gain. It's not a quick fix to go and get some business. No. Because there's a scenario where you go to networking, and if you go there to sell, well, who goes to a networking event to buy stuff? They don't. They don't. No. They want to grow their own businesses.
I was at a conference in Spain a little while ago, and I said that question. There was about 150 people there, and I said, "Okay, who's here to sell today?" And most hands went up. Bless their cotton socks. I said, "Okay, who's here to buy?"
Yeah.
No, not one person put their hand up, and you could see the kind of look on their faces, like, well, "What am I doing here then?" It was just a total difference of opinion. And once you know that actually you're going there to educate people on what you do, to let them know you're there, to raise your head above the parapet. Hello, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm about. And people go, "Oh, interesting. Okay, let's have a coffee. I'll find out a little bit more."
Yeah.
And it might be that your competition is in the room. You might be, I don't know, web designer, and another web designer's over there. Go and talk to other web designer. Because quite often people are nervous, going, "Oh, they're my competition. I'm not going to go and talk to them." But so often I see them get together, two people in the same business. I mean, we did it ourselves. When we first met, people said to me, "Don't go and talk, he's a business coach, don't talk to Baiju. No, he's your competition." So what did we do? We talked to each other, and we ended up, working together. So you never know the people that you can potentially get business from or give business to.
All I'll say about that is make sure good meetings happen at Cafe Ruiz, but we won't go there. Anyway, so we're going to talk about in the second part of the interview the 3 essentials for entrepreneurs without networking. But before we move on to that, business cards. What is the etiquette now? Business cards do I print as many as I can and give out as many as I can at networking events? What is the right etiquette? No. I never hand them out at all. I forget them. That's why I can't. What is the etiquette on business cards? What should you do and what shouldn't you do?
It's a piece of you. It's what your business represents. So again, it's the hunting and the farming analogy. You don't want to be giving out loads and loads. I saw that at one event. It wasn't a networking event, but this lady was treating it as though her life depended on it. She was just, "Here's my card, here's my card." She didn't even say hello. Wow. She was literally going around placing her card into people's hands, and they were like, they were just throwing them away because they weren't interested in it because of the way she was doing it. If you've talked to somebody and they're interested in what you're about and you're interested in what they're about, they would generally probably say, "Oh, actually, could I have your card? That sounds really interesting. Maybe we should have a one-to-one, or maybe we should meet up later." Or vice versa. If you've met somebody who you think you could work with, or maybe it's somebody who could be a good introducer for you, then you'd ask for their card. "Is it all right if I drop you an email? Would it be great if get together, because I'd be really interested to talk to you a bit more?" Yeah, sure. But if you're going to give out loads, it's the fishing scenario. You're going to end up with a Wellington boot, and it's going to cost you more time and effort getting rid of it than it is looking for the proper big fish that's going to give you a lot of business.
You were at an event at Malaysia recently, and they had a certain take on business cards.
Oh, it was lovely. Yeah, every time somebody wanted to have your business card or give you theirs, they would sort of present it, 2 hands with a bow. "This is my business card," and it was something precious. It wasn't just something to be thrown away or idle. It was a special part of them, and I've still got all of those business cards. And although they're in my CRM now, I really wouldn't throw them away because of the way that they just sort of presented them to me, and it meant a lot. And
and you probably remember them
Absolutely.
a little bit more than if someone says, "Here's my business card," because you think, Why would I want to?
I've seen people go, when somebody goes, here's my business card, they've gone, oh, thank you, and literally ripped it in half and got it, because it was without even a hello or thank you.
I've done that once. I said to someone gave me the card, right, and I said, look, you've got a choice. You can have this card back.
Yeah.
Or if you leave it with me, I will tear it up. And he goes, I said, why didn't you talk to me?
Know.
And he said, well, there's how many people in this room, I haven't got time to talk to you. I said, haven't you now? And literally went like that.
Wrong person to say that
give
to.
It back to
Yeah.
him. And his face was like, what are you doing?
Harsh lesson.
Yeah, harsh lesson. But
yeah.
he doesn't
and this
do
is
it
what
anymore.
it is. It is an etiquette. If you don't know, you don't know. There is an etiquette to it.
That's it.
But it's just understanding that what you do in your normal life, in your social life, you wouldn't go up to somebody in a bar and say, buy me a drink.
No.
So why would you go, here's my business card?
Absolutely, great, good. So some good don't do there. So after the break, after the next bit, we're going to talk about the 3 essentials that to do at networking events and maximise the opportunity to get business. So thank you, Gill, for the meantime.
Okay.
Thank you very much, great.
You're welcome.
So that's Gill talking about networking and what not to do. And as I say, Gill will be back later on talking about the 3 essentials for networkers. Right, so now we're going to have the second part of Emily's talk on how to take opportunities from this April's Want to Be an Entrepreneur. It's Emily Kontantas.
If I can open it. Okay. At Aspire, we do things a little bit differently, and it's all about getting people thinking about doing something different, like the stories I've just said. So this is all about taking an opportunity. Now you're probably thinking, why have I got a box camera? Does anybody remember these? Anybody know what these are? Box brownies. I think they were the first set of cameras. So this is 1925, rough, give or take. I'm really bad of history, so I'm going to warn you all now. If I get the dates wrong, just shove your hands up and say they're wrong. These came around. This is about taking opportunity. Would I have been a photographer? Well, probably not, because I'm a woman, and probably not because before these there weren't really any cameras around. This came out. This bit of technology came out, and people could become photographers. They can go and take photos of babies. They can do a lot with it, and this basically created an opportunity for work. Moving forward a little bit, does anybody remember these? I don't. I'm too young for these, but I know my parents do. This was a bit of a broken one. These came out. More opportunities were created for work. These weren't just about people making music, putting them onto these little. They're not called CDs, whatever they're. There we go, the records. Don't even know what they're called. But it's all about people, the manufacturers, people who made them, the designing of these little covers. This created opportunities. So as the times are moving forward, the more technology that's being created, more opportunities are coming around. This now would be your Ryanair luggage allowance, probably. It is that heavy. But I remember one of these. My granddad used to have one of these. Everybody remember these? This little bit of technology created so many opportunities for people. Through this, you could do bar mitzvahs, you could do weddings, you could do christenings. You've got a whole industry that came around with this. You've been framed. Who knows about You've Been Framed? Yep. Because of this bit of technology, there was all the marketing that came around with You've Been Framed. The little cassettes, people were then, every 5 minutes, your child falls over, bangs their head, quickly get the video out, not check they're all right because we want to make the £200. So all of this came out. This technology is creating opportunities. So once again, as time progresses, more opportunities are being created. Now this is not a brick, it's not a house phone, it is actually a mobile phone. The mobile phones that came out, how many opportunities did these create? You could take your work with you wherever you go. You could be not on a train because you don't really get signal, but you would if you're on the Stansted Express. So you could be there on the telephone doing your work calls. You could be I don't even think these had a text, but eventually they had text. But all these opportunities that were created by it, you could have your office in your pocket. Later on when the emails were being able, you could go and work abroad. If this didn't come around, if this opportunity didn't arise, people wouldn't have the opportunities to do different types of work. Plumbers could then work all around because they could take this with them. Carpenters, lots and lots of different opportunities arose just from this bit of technology. These, anybody remember this? Put it on here. It wasn't just your little
your little jog. It wasn't about just the cassette. This was about everything that came with the cassette. This was about your wristbands, your head thing, you put on your lycras, you go for a jog, and a whole fashion industry, the Reebok fashion industry, pretty much all came from this bit of technology. So through this, opportunities were created which enabled people to get jobs, think of business ideas that probably they'd never even thought of had this not come out. Now, it's not a bit of silk, I'm pretending this is graphene. Future, graphene. They're saying that they're going to be creating mobile phones which are going to be created from graphene, which, well, they'll be this thin. But it's opportunities. And I'm here talking about it today. In the future, so many people will have other jobs, other business ideas that will come just from graphene. Now, you're probably thinking, where am I going with this? It's all about taking an opportunity and thinking outside the box. So I would like, if I could, 2 people to come up and take an opportunity here with me today. Any volunteers? Going once, going twice. Come on in. Right. You can stand there. Sorry, what's your name? Luke and Kathy. You guys, they didn't know what I've asked them to do. Now, I could ask them to do a song, a dance, acrobat. I could ask them to do anything. They've taken opportunity. They don't know who I am. I'm a nutcase, but you've taken an opportunity of me, and you don't know what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you one very, very quick, simple question, and I want a quick answer, and I'd like you all to tell me, just keep your eyes open. So, Luke and Kathy, which one would you like to earn £10? I would. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go and sit down. Now that was the quickest legal, emphasis on legal, the quickest legal £10 you will ever earn by taking that opportunity. So this is what I'm trying to get at. You don't know, in life, people are going to ask you to do things, ask you to take an opportunity. You don't know what you're going to be asked to do. Remember this. Go and take that opportunity. Even like, what's your name down there, young man? Ben. Ben was a bit hesitant to come up on stage, but he took that opportunity and he came up and he gave it his all. You guys did. If you get an opportunity, take it, because it may not come round again. One of the biggest contracts I've ever landed myself was through taking an opportunity. I was sitting on a train on the way up to, I was going from Cambridge to London. I was actually meant to get off in Harlow. But I ended up having a conversation with somebody because there was a hole in the roof of the train and I had an umbrella. So everybody's now under my umbrella on a train. It's absolutely pissing it down. I was thinking this is not happening. But I had a conversation with this person because I took an opportunity because I saw her, one of those tags, and it had the brand of the company that I've been trying to get hold of for a very, very long time to have a contract with. I didn't get off that train in Harlow. I went all the way up to London, got a fine because I didn't have a ticket to go up to London, then come back with my tail between my legs, but I was happy because I got a contract. But I took an opportunity, and it's so important that in life, you just remember, if it's just one thing, that you don't take anything else away from what I've said, because it's all I'm very scatty when I'm talking, but just remember this presentation, and remember, if you see an opportunity and you want to go out and get it, you go out and get it, because the only person who will stop you doing it is you. And the worst people can say to you is no. And you get kicked back loads and loads and loads of times. I've been kicked back hundreds of times, but you get up and you try again, and then you just go out for that next opportunity. On one last story to end it, and I know I'm really, really quick, but oh God, I'm wrecking the little thing now as well. We had a guy called, oh God, he's got such a long name, but he came on a course with us, and we did the opportunities presentation with him. And he was looking for work. He'd been unemployed for about 5 years, highly intelligent gentleman, but he was told he could be a security guard. Now, he was 2 foot high, and he'd be blown over if he went to security guard, so it was probably best that he didn't take that job. But he was sitting in a library over in West London every single day for about a year, and eventually somebody approached him and said, do you want to become... We're not on a flight path, are we? Yeah. They said, do you want to become a college lecturer? Come and do some volunteering with us. He said, oh no. And then he thought, he was the one who came and took out, it was actually £5. We didn't have a £10. He came and took out £5 from us. And he said, I remembered that opportunities presentation. And even though my brain was saying, no, 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 don't do it, I said yes. He's now been working for West Thames College as a lecturer, and he's been there Liz, is it 3 years? 3 years. He's been there 3 years just from taking one opportunity. So I won't bore you anymore today. Baiju, I know I finished early. Have I finished early?
A little bit. So that was Emily there talking about taking opportunities and using her examples about, how old technologies, the cameras and the sort of the vinyl started creating jobs and opportunities now. And if you think about current modern day, the way social media works and the way different apps and technologies, they're creating different jobs around. So there's great things there. So Gill's back from our first part. So we talked about the don'ts for networking, the different types of group referral groups, evening groups and lunchtime groups. But before we go on to the 3 essentials, a bit about your background, Jill. How did you become this sort of networking queen, if you like?
Well, my original business back in 1988, pause for you to go, surely you didn't start a business in 1988.
What, when you were at school?
Yeah, thank you. Keep up with me now.
Yeah, okay.
Back in 88, we started, me and my husband started an office supplies business. And I went off and did various other things and then came back to help him around about 2005, 2006. And he sent me out networking. I didn't want to go. I really didn't want to go. But actually, I like meeting people. So it worked really, really well for me. And that's how I started. And then I dipped into every single, from BNI to BRX to 4N, Women in Business Network, Athena, speed networking, which really hard work. I just, it's exhausting. You can do it and you can work it, but it's not my favourite way of doing things. And obviously online as well. I love the old Twitter and Facebook and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So that's fine, but you've written a few books as well, a couple of books?
Yeah, I've got a DVD all about networking. I managed to get 5 experts on networking and say to them, what was it like when you first went? And they went, oh, it's a disaster, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. So we found out all their mistakes. Okay. Then we found out what would you do differently? Now you know, what would you do differently? And also, what's your top tip?
Right.
And the nice thing was that I interviewed them all in one day, and nobody knew what the others were saying, and they all managed to say something different. And
right,
that's part of the DVD. So you can, if you're very into the basics, that's a good start. But the book is really about my business, Steps to Success, which helps people move in tiny increments. The philosophy being, if you take lots of little steps to your success, you look back and you think, wow, I've actually come quite a long way. But it's easier than going, whew, big leap, and then actually going back down again.
Right, okay, great. So we talked about, as I said at the start of the first part of the interview, the don'ts around networking. Yeah. So the 3 essentials of networking for entrepreneurs. What are the 3 essentials? What's essential number 1?
Well, it's the before.
Okay.
It's the before, the during, and the after. And the before, I'm always amazed how many people go networking without any thought of preparation before you get there. Okay. You need to plan. You need to, what's your objective? What's your target? Who's your target? Is it the right networking group for you even? Right. Are you going to the right place? Are the people at this networking group the sort of people that know your customers, that know the people that you need to be talking to? Right. And a lot of people might turn up at a Chamber of Commerce event and actually they need to be a 4N event, or all different ways. You have to kind of do your research beforehand. Okay. And then when you find out who's going, because most of these groups have a membership online, so you can kind of see who's going to be going or who's part of the group, and then work out who you want to talk to, who you want to connect with. Maybe it's somebody you're already connected to on LinkedIn and go, oh, I'd love to speak to them, so that when you're going, you actually know who you're going to talk to before you get there.
So do you find a lot of people don't prepare when they go networking events?
They just turn up.
Okay.
They just turn up. And if they're turning up late, then they've got no chance of finding that magic person they need to speak to.
So how much preparation do we do? Are we talking about just sort of trying to find out who's... What if you can't, some, not all networking events publish their list before, so what kind of preparation can you do?
I would contact the person who's in charge. Find out a little bit more. Are you going to have to do a 60-second presentation? Some places you do, some places you don't. Sometimes you can go to an event and they'll say, oh, actually, we've got a 5-minute speaker that's not. Would you be able to speak? And you get an opportunity to speak, and that's great. If you're going to be speaking for 60 seconds or more, be prepared. Don't wing it. Okay. You know what? It shows.
You can only get away with it now and again, but many prepare.
So the more you can prepare before you go. So if you're going to be at a networking event for 2 hours, make sure you're planning beforehand at least an hour.
Okay.
You know, are you at the right one? Who are you going to be seeing? Who do you need to talk to? What are your targets? You know, you want to come away with maybe 3 business cards. 2 of those maybe you want one-to-ones, and one of those is a potential big fish for you that could be an introducer.
When you talk about one-to-one, what do you mean?
Where you're going to have that coffee with somebody and get to know them. You're taking the relationship of, there's my business card, or can I have your business card, to the next level.
Okay. Does that one-to-one happen at that meeting or sometime else?
It can be either, depending on how keen the 2 of you. If you've built up a rapport and if you've kind of clicked and you think, actually, we could do something together, why not sit down after the meeting and have that coffee then and get to know each other better? Or I'll call you later, or maybe tomorrow, or, you know, but make sure you connect up with that person.
So just on that one-to-one, just some detail, is there an art to one-to-one? Is it about, right, I'll tell you what I do, then you tell me what you do, and then we'll go off?
Oh, that would be painful, wouldn't it?
So what
if you're being talked at, and have you ever done that? Have you ever sat down and somebody just talks at you for like an hour, and then you go, oh, I'm sorry, I've got no time now, and you go, well, what about me? Don't you get to talk to me?
So
it's frustrating.
What's an art to a one-to-one, a good one-to-one?
What I find is really, really useful, this is a whole other topic really, but what I find is really useful is having a sheet with the information that you're going to be telling them already written down.
Okay.
And there are certain questions that you can ask that person, like, what do your clients think of you? What are your goals for the future? Where are you taking your business? So it helps you to really get to understand that person better and whether there's any synergy between you.
Right.
And then when you finish the conversation and they then ask you those questions as well, you can give them the sheet. So even if they've remembered so much, they've got it written down so they can look at it later.
Okay.
And part of that one-to-one is, and I would like to work with this person.
So part of the reason to do a one-to-one is finding out how you can help them. Because if you can find out how you can help them, they're more likely to help you. Is that the philosophy?
In any networking environment, that's what you're looking to do, is join the dots and connect people.
Right.
And if you can put 2 people together and it's going to be really useful, they're going to love you. And they're going to want to help you because you've helped them first. It's the same as finding a referral for them. You might not be able to find a referral for everybody, but you can definitely help them. Go, oh, I know somebody that would be really useful. I'll give them a call. Don't just give people phone numbers out. You've got to give them a call. I've just met this person, they're a great web designer. Do you think there could be any synergy? Yeah, I'd love to talk to them. Great. And then put them together. So it's something positive has come out of the meeting.
So like you said, when we spoke at the first part of the interview, one of it's not about going and getting business per se. It's about when you build that relationship and finding out how you can help someone, because you're more likely to be helped there. Okay, and a one-to-one reinforces that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So essential number 1 is preparation.
Yep.
And number 2?
The during. Just remember, when you are there, preferably get there a bit early. Make sure you introduce yourself to the host, because they will know the person that you need to talk to.
Okay.
And then they will introduce you to the person you need to talk to, rather than you have to go up to a stranger and go, oh, I saw on LinkedIn, or I know you remember here and I'd like to speak to you, because if you get the person who's organising it to introduce you, it's a nice, comfortable introduction.
It's a warmer introduction, isn't it?
Yeah. And be useful. If you're there a little bit early, can I lay anything out for you? Is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the person that's running the group is going to go, oh, they're nice, aren't they? They were helpful. I've been to a networking group before and I was the second person there. I ended up pouring out tea for everybody as they arrived. And I was remembered. They weren't going to forget, oh, she was that lovely lady that poured out the tea for me. You know, you want to be remembered the whole time.
For the right reasons.
For the right reasons, absolutely. And if you do have an opportunity to do a 60 seconds at that meeting, be specific with who you want to deal with.
Because what I find when people go to networking events, especially if they're earlier on, is they hide. Is they hide in the corner, they don't want to speak to anybody or go to speak to another, and they lose an opportunity here. You know, this is an opportunity for you to really push your comfort zones and test it out. Because would you say it's also the case that most of the people there will support you, so you can't do anything wrong. So if you're ever going to do something that you might feel, you know, that's pushing your comfort zones, am I doing it right? No one's going to judge you there, because everybody feels nervous at networking events when they go.
And they remember. I remember a kitchen fitter at a networking event once. He stood up and he was literally like that. And everyone was like, oh.
And he fitted kitchens?
Well, 2 or 3 weeks later, he was so confident we couldn't shut him up.
Right.
It was the nerves that had got to him, and it was so, sweet to see that he still tried, and he pushed himself way out of his comfort zone in order to do it.
And everybody loves a try.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody loves a try.
Absolutely.
Okay. So preparation, make sure you get there early, make sure you speak to the host, and talk to people.
The biggest thing, as I was saying about being specific, is most people say, for example, there's a hairdresser at a networking group, and they'll say, if you've got hair, then I can cut your hair. And the poor bald chap that's in the room will go, well, you can't cut my hair. actually being more specific is going to be much more useful. So hone it down to industry, hone it down to company, and hone it down to person if you can.
Right,
Because
okay.
if it's a local company and a local person, quite often somebody will go, that's my neighbour, I never knew she worked there. Oh, yeah, I can introduce you to them, that's fine. And you've got a good connection by being specific. It doesn't stop you getting all of the other stuff that you would have got anyway.
Yeah.
But the minute you're general, it's grey noise and it just goes over people's head and they've forgotten you instantly. So by being memorable, for example, a garden landscaper could say, I want to work with hotels. Lovely. Well, then mention a hotel that's just up the road. Then mention the manager of the hotel. So you've got 2 shots. And as people drive past that hotel, they go, oh yeah, that landscape guy wanted to work there. I'm not stopping there, but I'm going to that hotel, so I might ask that one.
Isn't it also a case you don't know who other people know? You have no idea what someone else knows and who's in their black book. So by asking the question, you'd be like, oh my God, you know that person? You get an introduction and it works like that.
I know somebody stood up at a networking event and they asked for the Queen.
Did they?
Yeah, and somebody sniggered and they went, yeah, right. 3 weeks later, she was in Buckingham Palace working for the Queen.
Wow.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Yeah, you got to be careful with what you ask
Absolutely.
for.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, be serious about it.
The other part of it, in terms of being specific, I have this sort of free plan attack in terms of introducing yourself. Your name, your game, your claim to fame.
Right.
So what your name is, what the game is. So I'm John. I'm an accountant. The claim to fame. I specialise in high net individuals saving tax, for example.
Yep.
So and that's a good way of getting people to understand that you're not just some generic accountant, but what's your area of expertise in that area that's quite generic. So,
but make it interesting and make it memorable.
Yeah.
So if you've got a prop you can bring in, if you can do something slightly differently, please don't stand on a chair. I've seen somebody do that before now because everyone's just thinking, really? It's about being memorable for the right reasons.
I won't do that then. No.
Not anymore. Stop doing that.
Yeah, okay, good. So number 1 is prepare during. So I'm assuming the third one is.
Yep, it's the FU really. Follow up.
Right. We're going live here. I didn't really know where I was going. Okay, the FU, the follow-up.
Yes. So many people have this pile of business cards and they do nothing with them.
Okay.
What a shame. If you've said, it would be great if we could have a coffee sometime, I'd love to work with you, don't leave that 4 or 5 days before you send an email, make a phone call for that coffee. In fact, I wouldn't send an email. I'd make a phone call.
You would rig people up that you've been to an event, you ring them all up?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to have 50 cards.
No.
You're not going to, but the ones that you want to have the coffee with, the one-to-ones with, and that meeting that could potentially turn into business for you, either through them or through the people they know, why would you take time going, well, I'm going to send an email today, so they might get that, and then they'll look at that tomorrow, then they might reply to me, then I can't make that date, then I've got to send another email. It's exhausting. Just pick the phone up. Hi, what day can you make?
Okay.
Have you got a minute to talk, and then do it then. Not necessarily on the same day. Give them time to get away from it. But another conversation the next day. I mean, you're into sales. How many touches have you got to have in order for that sale to then work? And it's
7.
another opportunity.
Yeah, about 7 to 9 touches. So so this sort of people might think networking is about you. There's a 2-hour networking event. And it starts 5 minutes before and ends 5 minutes after. But what you're saying, no, it's what you do before and what you do after will make a difference on how well that networking event is for you in terms of results.
Absolutely, because any networking event is successful. The reason I realised that I was doing networking wrong, because whatever you hear is all these mistakes, I've been there, done that. I went to a networking event, it might have been a Chamber of Commerce or something, and I paid my money and I said I was going to go, but I really didn't want to go. It was in the evening and I was like, oh, flip, do I have to? So, all right, I'll go. But because I'd already got home and it was an evening event, I dragged my feet getting out. So by the time I got there, the speaker was already on the stage speaking. I thought, oh, flip, because I was late. But then my friend was over in the corner. She went, come and sit next to me. I was like, okay. So when I spoke and sat next to my friend, and then we sat there having a good moan because actually the speaker wasn't that great and the sandwiches were rubbish. And it's like, oh, can I go home yet? And I left that meeting after about an hour and a half. So I left early as well. I had a good moan. What rubbish meeting that was. The speaker was terrible. The food was terrible. I didn't get anything out of it. I got a few business cards. And then I thought, hang on a minute. Or was it me?
That's what you make of it. Right.
And now I have been networking on trains, in Tesco's, you name it. If you see an opportunity and you can help someone and you can connect someone, it's great networking. It doesn't have to be in a networking event. I've been on holiday and there was a dozen of us sat around a table and about 3 or 4 people needed services that my networking group could offer.
Right.
So I was able to get some referrals out of it for other people back home. But I was with my friend And he was in the same networking group, and I thought, well, I'm not going to jump on it because he's going to want those referrals, and he can build the relationship.
Yeah.
And I said to him afterwards, why didn't you talk? And you said, that's business. I'm not doing business when I'm on holiday. I'm like, but you're helping people. That's what networking is all about. It's building a relationship and helping people, helping the people that were on holiday and helping the people back home.
Great, fantastic, good. So it's all about what you do before.
Yep.
So what you do during and what you do after. Networking, it doesn't stop during that event or start.
No.
It's about what you do. And like I say about networking, it's connecting people. And what I'm finding it's about relationships and connecting people. It's not about just getting business, because it's a short-term life if that's all you go for.
Yeah.
And
you'll be known for that. Your reputation.
Yeah. And in joking, so I do a lot of networking. I go to many different events. And if it wasn't for networking, the opportunity of launching this channel wouldn't be, because the people I've met that helps me do this, people like yourselves, comes through collaboration opportunity around that. So if you're watching this thinking you want to start a business and you're thinking what's the best way to start to really grow, is networking is a way to connect with people that you wouldn't normally connect with. And
it's a great support group as well. Quite often, if you're a member of a group, they become friends, they become a support network. I've seen some amazing support in different groups that you wouldn't anticipate before. And you're learning that you have to be open for potential learning. I mean, if you go to a group and there's an accountant there, well, asking different questions. If there's a financial advisor there, if there's a business coach there, you're going to get some amazing information and knowledge.
And by default, people want to help.
Yes.
People. There's a perception thinking, they're out there to just gain and dog eat dog. With the survey we heard last year about The Apprentice, and people thinking business is about dog eat dog.
No.
It's not. It's when you go networking, you're amongst like-minded people who want to help you and grow your business, and that's what you find if you really start getting into this. And it's a great world to be in, and like you say, the support network, because they're like-minded people. They get you. They understand the trials and tribulations of running a small business. The cash flow issues, the staffing issues, and when you understand someone gets you at that level and you get that networking, it can be a fantastic resource.
You're in the right club.
Great, fantastic, great. So some great tips there. Thank you so much,
You're
Gill.
welcome.
Thank you so much for turning up and talking about the 3 essentials. So it's preparation, and what you do during and what you do after the event. So that's really great tips there. And we talked about what not to do at networking.
Yep.
So superb. Thank you very much, Gill. So that's Gill Tiney talking about networking. Like I say, so what's your website if people want to hear more about you?
Stepstosuccess.eu.
Stepstosuccess.eu, and we'll put that on the credits at the end so you can see more details. And your Twitter is?
Gill Tiney.
At Gill Tiney. Tiney, as it says
you.
on the screen there. Great. So tweets. Have we got? There's a few. There's not many questions. A few comments. There's a few comments there. Right. Okay. So we'll. So what's the time now? It's coming up to 10 to 9. Oh, great. Okay. So there's no questions here today. You've answered everybody's questions. So that's fantastic. Great. So great. So that's all from us today from I'm an Entrepreneur TV. Thank you, Gill. Thank you, Josie, for the news. Next week, same time, 8 o'clock, and we're going to have someone talking about apps, how you can create apps, and some of the different apps to look out for. You might want to create an app for yourself, for your website, or for your business, and what you do there. So that's that's Paul Spillman next week talking about apps. So thank you for Gill. Thank you, Josie. That's all for this week from I'm an Entrepreneur TV. Look forward to see you next week. Take care. Bye bye. My pleasure.